So I was just going to talk very briefly about Web 2.0 conversations. So I think that we're getting into a lot of social media sites, and we're starting to develop a lot of these things for our clients. And I don't know if all of our clients realize, sort of the tactical level of how to actually produce these conversations, the benefits that we can get out of the conversations, and how to encourage them. So just to give the brief overview, we're all familiar with sort of the one-to-one conversation, right? So there's one person talking to the other person, and this is sort of your on-the-phone conversation, instant message, this sort of thing. You also have the one-to-many conversation, and this is going to be sort of maybe the old view of newspapers or television, where somebody's communicating, it's being sent out to everybody else, but there's no feedback. There's also sort of a many-to-one conversation, but that's typically pretty rare. That'll be things like suggestion boxes and stuff like that. So what we want to try to encourage is the many-to-many conversation. So you have all these people are able to talk to each other, these people go here, and then they carry out the conversation themselves, because what that then does is build out these network effects. So instead of relying on one person to produce all of the content, or even two people, you're relying on your community to produce the content, you're relying on the feedback. It's just this constant growth of content. So I have a couple of examples on up here, and right now there are going to be some tools that are available. Disqus is probably the main tool that people know about. There's also things like Intense Debate, and then I'll show you an example from the blogging network that I actually blog on as well, because I think that we do a pretty good job. So the first thing to notice with Disqus is that this is a very simple sort of concept, but what they'll do is, forgive some of the language here, but what they'll do is actually have these threaded responses. So when you make a reply to somebody, it'll actually send the reply over to the next into sort of a tab mode, so that you can tell very easily that there's a conversation happening, that one person is responding to the next person. And then when we come back to it, we're able to see sort of what the timing was for these conversations. Now, Disqus actually carries that out into a few more things, where these comments can then be carried over into each individual commentator's individual profile, so they can say, these are the comments that I'm making, throughout the web, and this is who I am that's out there. And so that kind of carries it well beyond your site. And just to give an example of TechCrunch uses one blog post that actually has a few comments here. And you'll see that TechCrunch actually does something similar, where they have these sort of that tab version of the responses. And actually, they'll moderate it so that the response doesn't get too deep. There's a design aesthetic. How much of this is becomes unreadable. And I'll just show you very quickly one of the sites that's on the network that I blog on. And we can just open up one that looks like it has several comments in here. This one has 102 comments. So what we do here on the SB Nation sites, there's actually a few more features that Disqus doesn't actually have, but that we don't emulate. So some of the things that this one will do is live commenting. So this is all Ajax based, and if there was an event going on and somebody were to write a comment in response, you'd actually see the comments being signaled, and you'd be able to very quickly move to the new comments as the event's going on without reloading your page. And so these are all just things to sort of simplify the commenting process. And again, we have this sort of the tab comment system, and the ability to enter in things like quotes, just very quickly be able to add quotes into your comments so that you're able to then parse the information and reproduce it. And things just like the ability to even vote. I'm not logged in here, but there's recommendation engines and things like that to actually say this is if I may not want to reply directly to this comment, but I want to be able to show that I appreciate this comment and things like that. So those are just a few quick examples of I don't want to take too much time. Those are just a few quick examples of things that I think we could be doing, tools that we could actually integrate into what we're already doing, or just even ways to think about this. We're not just slapping a comments engine or a message board on there. We're really trying to think strategically and then tactically, how are we going to encourage these conversations to happen so that our clients get the most out of them. That's it. Are there any questions?
How does Google Wave impact
Google Wave does not, the API is a big thing. So both Disqus has an